Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. So today we are diving into something really special. We're looking at the persistence of Rahul, a journey beyond hardship. We're constantly debating the whole anatomy of success, right? Like, is it just systemic luck? Is it raw natural talent? Well, today we're going to entirely bypass the academic theories. Instead, we're mapping out the actual mechanics of resilience through one incredibly powerful true story. We're going to break down a journey that pushes way past your standard hardship and figure out exactly what it takes to rise to the very top. So buckle up, because understanding these mechanics, it's absolutely going to shift how you look at your own challenges. And that brings us right to a core question, one that's honestly puzzled psychologists for decades. What is the real difference between those who succeed and those who just give up? I mean, why do two people facing the exact same massive obstacles end up on totally different paths? Well, the definitive answer we're exploring today isn't some scientific formula. It's a person. His name is Rahul. And his journey is literally the perfect blueprint for understanding human resilience. All right, let's get right into it. So Rahul grew up in a small village, and even from a super young age, the kid had massive dreams. The real inciting incident of his story actually happens right inside his childhood classroom. His teacher asked the classic question, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" You had your usual answers, doctor, engineer, you know the drill. But when it was Rahul's turn, he stood up and boldly declared, "I want to become a successful person so I can remove all the difficulties from my family's life." And the reaction? The entire classroom just erupted into laughter. They openly mocked him. Now, they laughed because the gap between his giant ambition and his actual reality was frankly staggering. Think about it. On one hand, you have these massive dreams of changing his family's stars, making a real difference. But on the other hand, you have a crushing everyday reality. His father was a daily wage worker struggling just to put food on the table. In fact, many days there barely was enough food. As one of those cruel classmates actually pointed out, Rahul couldn't even afford to buy new school books. The divide between his dream and his bank account was gigantic. To them, it seems completely impossible. Now, usually, human nature dictates that when a whole room full of your peers laughs at your deepest, most personal dream, you shrink, right? You hide. You lower your expectations. And yeah, Rahul felt hurt, absolutely. But here's the kicker. He didn't quit. Instead, he made this silent, ironclad promise to himself. He said, "One day, the people who laugh at me today will be surprised by my success." He literally weaponized their doubt. He took all that public humiliation and just decided to work harder than he ever had in his entire life. So let's walk through what that grind actually looked like on the ground, because this wasn't some quick movie montage. It was a relentless, grueling, everyday cycle. His days were spent attending school, and his afternoons, not playing with friends, he was working right alongside his father. And then came the night. When the rest of the village was fast asleep, Rahul was wide awake, studying under the terribly dim light of a tiny lamp. The physical exhaustion was so heavy that a lot of times he'd just pass out, falling asleep with his head right there on his open books, only to wake up the next morning and start that exact same brutal cycle all over again. Years passed in this relentless cycle, and then the day of the final examination results finally hit. The payoff for all those exhausted late nights under that dim little lamp? He achieved the #1 absolute highest score in his entire district. No joke. The very same people in that classroom who had laughed at him, the ones who told him that no money meant no future, they were now forcing themselves to walk up and congratulate him. He completely, undeniably silenced his doubters. But see, Rahul knew this district victory was just step one. To pursue higher education, he had to pack up and move to the city. And let me tell you, the city brought a brutal new wave of hardships. This wasn't just about studying anymore. This became about base survival. We're talking severe money struggles, terrible living conditions, high food costs, intense isolation, and just overwhelming physical and mental exhaustion. There were some very real, very dark moments where the pressure got so intense, he just wanted to pack it all in and run back to the safety of his village. But he didn't. And the reason he stayed was anchored in some profound wisdom from his mother. She told him, no matter how difficult life becomes, never give up. Just let the weight of that sink in for a second. Whenever that urge to quit flared up, he would close his eyes and just picture his father's deeply tired face after a long, back-breaking day of manual labor. Those simple words, combined with the vivid image of his father's sacrifice, became this unshakable anchor for him. That's where he found his strength when his own tank was completely empty. Now, to even afford his life in the city, Rahul had to take on part-time jobs right on top of a full course load. So picture this.
While his peers are spending their weekends relaxing, kicking back, just enjoying being young, Rahul was working, and he was upskilling. He was constantly learning new things and improving himself. He actively sacrificed short-term comfort for long-term growth. His entire focus was just on becoming a little bit better today than he was yesterday, while everybody else was just taking it easy.
Slowly but surely, all of that relentless hard work began to pay off. He graduated. He actually secured a highly coveted job at a major corporate company. All those years of effort, the deep sacrifices, the sheer stubborn determination, it all culminated in a single envelope, his first salary. And the moment he got that paycheck, he didn't go out to the bar to celebrate with friends. Nope, he rushed straight home and handed that money directly to his father. And his father's eyes just filled with tears. For the very first time in his entire life, Rahul saw pure, unburdened pride and genuine happiness radiating from his dad's face. The really crucial point here is what Rahul realized in that exact beautiful moment. Success is literally never achieved overnight. It's so much like an iceberg, People only ever see the visible peak sitting above the water, the fancy corporate job, the first big salary. But what they don't see is the massive underwater foundation holding it all up. A foundation made of countless failures, sleepless nights, agonizing disappointments, and incredibly silent, lonely struggles. Today, Rahul is a massive success. But whenever anyone asks him for the big secret to his journey, he doesn't talk about some specific textbook he read or a clever networking hack. He always gives the exact same answer. He says, "I never stopped believing in myself, even when nobody else did." That right there is the ultimate secret. And honestly, I want to pivot right now from Rahul's story directly to yours. Because listen, life is absolutely going to test you, exactly like it tested him. There will be days when literally nothing goes your way. People are going to doubt you. They might even laugh at your dreams. And this reveals a universal truth about the core difference between winners and losers. It is not about natural talent, not at all. It's about persistence. When things get tough, most people stop. They let the doubt take the wheel. They complain about their circumstances. But winners? They actively choose to keep going when everyone else stops. They choose to believe when others are doubting. They just put their heads down and do the work while everyone else is busy complaining. That is the entire formula right there. But to actually execute that formula, we have to completely reframe how we view setbacks. Think about it. Every single successful person was once just an ordinary person who absolutely refused to quit. Failure isn't an ending, it's a lesson. It's actively preparing you for a massive comeback. Every single challenge acts like resistance training, just making you stronger. Every difficult, painful moment, it's teaching you something incredibly valuable that you're going to desperately need for the next stage of your journey. So if you have a dream, you've got to protect it. You have to put in the work for it every single day. Please do not wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you have more money or better tools or the exact right connections. Start with exactly what you have right now. Start exactly where you are. Because small steps taken consistently are what lead to extraordinary results. Success doesn't just come to people who wish for it. It comes to the people who work for it. So whenever life gets overwhelmingly difficult, and it will, don't quit. Just break it down to the immediate next action. Take a deep breath, stand up, and simply move forward. Because ultimately, your entire future depends completely on the actions you choose to take today. Rahul's actions told a phenomenal story of a boy who conquered his circumstances through sheer, unbroken persistence. So, I'm going to leave you with this thought to chew on. Look at your own daily habits, your sacrifices, your resilience. What story will your hard work tell? Make sure it's a story that inspires others. Thanks so much for joining me today on The Explainer. Take these lessons, apply them to your own life, and keep moving forward. Catch you next time.